Garden tasks you'll regret skipping in early April.
The weather is getting warmer, so I went to the market right away and bought some peppers.
Are you going to buy tomato seedlings first? Stop for a moment.
If you plant it now, you will regret it greatly. Summer crops are planted in the second week of April, relying only on warm daytime temperatures. If you plant it, you will be in big trouble.
Struggling to climb the mountain in the cold temperature that dropped overnight. All seedlings freeze to death. This is the most feared cold damage in the garden. I'm calling.
The leaf edges turn black. It becomes limp as if scalded in hot water, making recovery impossible. Summer crops such as peppers and eggplants require night temperatures of at least 10 degrees Celsius. It must be maintained to grow normally.
But at dawn in mid-April it was still 5 degrees below.
It falls. Even if you are lucky enough to freeze to death, there are serious aftereffects.
It remains.
The roots are shocked and initial growth stops. In the end, the fall harvest was cut in half, resulting in huge losses.
I see it. So when is it safest to plant?
Considering weather variables, the central region begins in early May. In the southern region, it is best to plant after late April.
I feel at ease.
So now, you may be looking around the market selling seedlings.
It's not the right time. Now, the second week of April. Important things that must be completed before going out into the field and planting seedlings. There is groundwork. Provide a nutrient table so that young seedlings can take strong roots. This is the preparation of a field. What should I sow and mix in the field now? Let's check it out right away.
I bought expensive seedlings and planted them in May, but they lasted for over a week.
If you feel weak,
in all likelihood, this is because the field was planted incorrectly. In order for crops to take root properly in unfamiliar soil,
at least 2 weeks before planting seedlings, apply base fertilizer and turn the field deeply. You have to leave it.
If you are in a hurry and plant crops immediately after spraying the compost,
all roots turn black due to damage from gases generated in the soil. It burns out. Let's check the gardening checklist to prevent failure.
First, in the second week of April, apply compost generously and evenly throughout the field.
Please sprinkle it.
Usually, 1 bag of compost per 3 pion is sufficient. Microorganisms in the soil safely decompose this compost and deposit it on the ground.
You need time to replenish your nutrients.
Second, you should plant crops exactly 1 week after spraying the compost.
You need to create convex ridges and concave furrows for water to drain.
Summer crops such as peppers and tomatoes are well watered when there is a lot of rain. The trick is to make the ridge very high, at least 20 centimeters, so that it falls out.
That's the key.
If the ridge is too low, the roots will be submerged in water during the summer rainy season. A terrible disaster in which the crops grown with great effort rotted overnight.
It happens.
Third, after making the furrow, I waited another week and painted it black. Covered with plastic.
It keeps the soil warm and moist.
1 week after spreading the compost, 1 week after making the mounds. This 2-week meticulous waiting will determine the success or failure of this summer's farming.
Practical $1 decision. Are the lettuce sprouts you sown from seed growing densely? If you don't, pick even one because you think it's a waste.
The leaves overlap each other, preventing wind from passing through. Eventually, the roots will get crushed and the entire plant will rot. In narrow spaces, crops compete for nutrients.
It grows taller and the leaves become thinner.
The fatal result is that not even a single strong and wide leaf can be harvested.
Therefore, thinning is essential.
The criteria are very simple.
Space between plants at least 10 to 15 centimeters. It has to come off. The width of an adult's palm must be empty so that the leaves do not overlap. Receive full sunlight,
leaving only one strongest bud.
Pull out the small sprouts around them by the roots.
Pull it out when the soil is slightly wet to avoid damaging the roots of the plant you are leaving behind.
It doesn't.
The picked young leaves are good to eat as pickled vegetables. The growth rate of the thinned field and the field left as is only. It more than doubles in just 2 weeks.
Good ventilation reduces insect damage and leaves become thicker. This is a sure trick to increase harvest efficiency without spending any money. However, if you work in the clear and hot midday, the remaining plants will be exposed to sunlight. It may wilt. You should work in the late afternoon when the sun begins to set or on a cloudy day. Sudden drying damage can be safely prevented. This is a weekend garden checklist. First, check whether the leaves overlap. Second, boldly pull them out at 15 centimeter intervals. Third, water after work in the late afternoon. If you just practice these 3 things, spring farming will be successful. Weeds and aphids the size of fingernails growing in the corners of the field. Are you putting it off to pick it up later? After just 1 week, the entire field becomes covered and unusable. As temperatures rise from the second week of April, weeds multiply faster than crops. More than 3 times faster. The worst thing is that weeds steal all the nutrients that crops need to eat. Things happen. If you just roughly tear off the visible leaves with your hands, they will be gone in a few days. It grows bigger. Be sure to insert the sharp tip of the hoe deep into the soil and penetrate all the way to the root. You have to dig it out at once to make sure it is removed. Would you like to tell you the easiest way to pull weeds? Aim for the day after it rains or immediately after watering the field. The soil becomes soft and the thick roots do not break off. It falls out cleanly. While pulling weeds, be sure to check the backs of the plant leaves as well. You have to turn it over. If there are a lot of ants walking around, early aphids are likely to occur. This is the clearest evidence that they are multiplying. When you see 1 to 10 aphids, there is no need to buy expensive drugs. Just rub it with a gloved hand or a wet tissue and it will explode and kill. This is the quickest first aid. Even if you miss this golden time for just a few days, hundreds of aphids will appear. It increases explosively. Eventually, the plant leaves shrivel and turn yellow. You will face the catastrophic result of death. Every time you go to the garden, take just 1 minute to patrol. This person goes around the field, pulling out young weeds and examining the back of the leaves. This is the most important habit that determines your yield. The second week of April is not yet time to plant summer seedlings. If the night temperature drops below 10 degrees, the seedlings you purchased may suffer from cold damage. I die. Just wait for 2 more weeks. It should be planted in late April or early May so that the crop will not be stressed. It grows. Instead of going to the market right away, you should check the fields first. If you go to the garden now, the first thing to do is to spread compost and turn over the soil. Make a furrow. It will take at least 2 weeks for the compost gases to fully escape. If you skip this process, the roots will melt due to gas damage. A bountiful harvest in May comes from the healthy soil created now. It is decided. Don't think that lettuce or vegetables that are growing densely are a waste, but rather boldly eat them. It needs to be thinned out. A gap of at least 5 centimeters must be left to allow airflow and sunlight. I receive it. If left unattended, moisture builds up and disease occurs. Even leaves cannot grow, ruining the entire crop. Remove small weeds and early aphids in the corners of the field as soon as you find them. When the roots are shallow, scraping them off with a hoe can be done in just a minute. A week later it becomes a disaster. The best way to save pesticide costs and labor is to catch bugs in the early stages. It can be efficient. 3 essential tasks in April. First, do not plant seedlings, but create a field. Second, thinning out dense vegetables. Thirdly, initial weed and bug removal. Save this video and use it as a checklist when you go to the garden on the weekend. Take advantage of it. Please be sure to share it with your friends.